Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95, the Savior, and for this video I will talk about 20 reasons why you can't make Japanese friends here in Japan. Now do keep in mind this video is referring to people that are in Japan long term. If you're only in Japan for like a day, a week, or even a month, this does not apply to you for obvious reasons. You're not in Japan long enough to establish legitimate friendships. So with that said, this is for long-term residents, so people that are here to study abroad for preferably more than a year, and or those that have been living here long-term. So whether you are working in Japan, like in the JET program, or some other type of international school, whatever the case is, you've either been here for a while and you're like, why don't I have any friends? Or you're maybe new here and you're like, why don't I have friends yet? This video is for you. I've been in your situation. This is not to make you feel bad or, condemn you or degrade you or talk down on you, but rather to help you realize you're probably contributing to your problem and or your situation is just as normal as everyone else's. So the reality is a lot of people, before I get started with my video, I want to give some backstory, a little bit of backstory. A lot of people don't understand what it means to be a friend. And they also don't understand that friendships are different from culture to culture. For example, if you don't already know, in Japan, I made another video about this by the way, Japanese people generally keep the same friends they've had since they were in grade school. And they're not really big on allowing new friends or newcomers to join their little circle, especially as a foreigner. As the name Gaijin even implies, which this is really loosely badly translated into English as outside person, it doesn't really mean that, but it comes off that way because that does appear to be how you're treated. Well, through Japanese people's eyes, their idea of having a foreign friend is only for benefits for themselves, such as being able to have a cool partner that everyone admires and thinks is attractive, and or to have a free English teacher. It looks cool to be able to hang out with a foreigner because it shows that you speak English and you must be attractive in this hot foreigner's eyes. It literally comes down to that. So with that said and done, you're already kind of boxed in as a foreigner and you want to get out of that box. But there are ways to get yourself out of that box, and I find that a lot of the time we trap ourselves in that box where we can't really make friends. So with that said, a lot of people feel like anyone that they talk to is their friend when really they're just an associate. Just because you hang out with somebody, just because you talk, tell stories, laugh, go out to eat together, they're not really your friend. And I think this ends up hurting a lot of people in the long run because they think these Japanese people are their friend because they hang out with them. And it's like, no, they're only hanging out with you because you're hot and or because you are teaching them English indirectly. So we're not going to get into that in this video. I'll save that for another one. If you want me to give more of my opinion on that, you can leave a comment, send me an email, and I'll consider it. But right now I just want to stick to these 20 things for, reasons why you're really not making any friends in Japan. Everyone's story, background, excuse is different, but I promise you, if you're somebody struggling to make friends here, you probably fall into one, if not all of these categories. So let's get started. Number one, you're simply not being patient. You can't just come to Japan, get straight off the plane and think you're going to instantly have friends. It takes time to build friendships. Again, as I was saying earlier before I started with my points, Japanese people generally take a long time to form friendships. Friendships are not normally made literally overnight. Like even if somebody says, oh, let's be friends, you're not really their friend yet. Sorry, that's my oven. But anyway, you're not really their friend yet. Like they have to establish trust with you. They have to really get to know you. And while it is fun to play games and drink beers together, it doesn't make you a legitimate friend. Like the word friend is used very loosely here in Japan for anyone that you talk to and you know. So just because someone calls you their friend and treats you like a friend in the moment, it doesn't mean that you're a legitimate friend to that person. So just throwing that out there, you have to be patient. It takes time to make friendships. No, you're not a freak. There's nothing wrong with you. Everyone's been in your situation before. It takes time. A lot of people that go around claiming to have all of these friends and you always see them at parties, etc. I promise you, 9 out of 10 of those, times they're talking, or 9 out of 10 of those people that are at that party with them aren't really their friends. They're simply associates. It's easy to make associates in Japan. We all know people here that are Japanese, but who can you actually call in your time of need? Who's really going to come through and help you? Who's going to listen to you? Who's going to advise you? Do you really have friends? Or do you have people that are just hanging out with you because you're cool, you're cute, and you're funny? Think about that. Number 2, you're always hanging out with your friends and or your boyfriend. So as I've said before in another video, once again, if you're always with a group of people, you always seem to be preoccupied with your own group of friends, with your own date, nobody's going to really feel comfortable approaching you and trying to join your already established group. And nobody's going to try to come in between you and your partner. It's just weird. Can it happen? Yes. But once again, if you're always already going out with a set of people, you're always moving with these same people, how do you expect to meet new people? You're not giving anyone a chance to meet you because you're always, preoccupied, basically. Number 3, you never go out. You're basically a homebody. You're always, always, always at home. If you don't leave your house, how are you going to make friends? How are you going to meet people? You think people are just going to randomly find out, hey, there's a foreigner living next door. I live next to Japanese people and I can speak Japanese, and all of my neighbors except for one hide from me. So I'm speaking from personal experience. If you don't go out of your way and talk to them, most of them won't speak to you. In my entire building, I think there's about 5 people that actually speak to me, and I think it's really just to practice English, because out of those 5 people, 4 of them always speak to me in English. And with that said, I have to go out of my way to actually meet people, because normally the only time somebody talks to me, I've had rare exceptions of somebody's genuinely talking to me just to be friendly, but normally when they do it, it is to be friendly, but it's simply because they think I'm attractive and they want to date me, or they want me to teach them English. I've literally had girls come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, you're so cool, you're so cute, whatever. Can you help me with this? I want to be able to talk to my boyfriend. I want to go to America. And it's I don't know you. We're at 7-Eleven, you freak. But that's another story. My point is, generally speaking, you're not going to be able to make friends if you always stay at home, unless you're inviting people to your house, but then that's kind of weird to be in Japan to be doing that anyway. So you have to actually get out there. You can't just sit on your butt at home and expect friends to randomly come to you. It doesn't work like that. A lot of people I see complain about, oh, I don't have friends. I don't have any Japanese friends. How do you make Japanese friends? And it's by not doing what you're doing? Yeah. You can't simply be all work and no play. So going out isn't just, oh, I went to work today or I went to school today. That's all you did? You didn't do anything else? You didn't go anywhere else? Like I said, you're staying at home. You're not doing anything. If you're always going straight from point A, straight to point B, there's a possibility of meeting people in between. I've done that a gazillion times, even though I'm in a relationship. Sadly, I've had tons of people actually talk to me at the worst time possible. When I'm running late for work, I have a student, waiting on me, whatever, and I'll have a guy try to stop me and ask if I can speak Japanese. Someone exchange numbers, etc. It's happened a gazillion times, so it does happen. But the reality is, again, that's not really a friend. It's somebody that's trying to date me. So yeah. Number 4, you're obnoxious and loud and you don't know how to assimilate. Now don't get me wrong, some Japanese people like this. They think it's funny, they think it's cool, they're like, oh my gosh, foreigners are so crazy. But other people actually find your personality it puts them off. You're embarrassing to be seen with in public because you don't know how to act civil. You're ghetto. You drink on the train, you're loud, your phone is going off, you answer your phone, you listen to music playing out loud on your phone. Just everything about you is dude, we're not at a party right now. I don't want to be seen with you in public like this. So again, if you come off as being insensitive, you're rude, you're obnoxious, it might be your personality, but remember, you're in a different country, different culture, there's a different language. If you don't know how to act like the people that you're with, they're not going to want to hang out with you. Same thing goes for in America. There's things that we do in the U.S. that you wouldn't want to do, or other way around. There's things in America that we can and or don't do there's things in America that we do that Japanese people don't do. For example, one of the biggest culture shocks to people is probably going to be, at least on public transportation, it is not acceptable to push people. If you try to push an American, which I had that actually happen to me one time, and I got mad and I turned around. It was during my process. I wasn't going to Japan. I actually was coming back from New York, I think, or going to New York. And he might have been Japanese by his reaction. All I know is that he was Asian. He did it because he was in a rush. He brushed past me, but it pissed me off. I looked back at him and I think it scared the crap out of him because he probably thought I was going to go off on him. But I'm not that person. I just gave him the stank look damn, can you slow down, bitch? So excuse me. With that said, he freaked out and got really apologetic and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, whatever. And so it's now I let him off because I'm civil. But you do that to the wrong person, they'll be cursing you out and ready to fight you. I know that it wasn't really a mistake, but again, I can forgive people, I can get over it. It ain't that serious. We all grown and I ain't about to go to jail or be on YouTube for fighting somebody over somebody bumping into me. It ain't that serious. But again, to someone else, they're stupid enough to make it that serious. Well, in Japan, yes, somebody can go off on you for pushing them. I had a guy do that to me, even though he bumped into me on his own. He refused to move out of the way, and I was clearly already walking on this path. And I'm about to go around your ass when you just came out the door. And with that said, he went off of me. And this was in Kyoto, might I add. So with that that said, my point is, yeah, you basically have to keep in mind you're in a different country, different culture. While it's okay to push people in Japan, a Japanese person needs to learn you cannot do this in the US. You do that in New York, you are going to get fucked up. Okay, well, Japan is a different place, different culture. You might be okay with being loud and funny and goofy and obnoxious in the US. Your friend, that was my hairpin. Your friends might appreciate that, but in Japan, your personality, it can be comical to others, but are you the kind of person that they want to invite any old where? Maybe you're kind of embarrassing to be seen outside of a party situation, thus they only invite you to parties because you're fun and you liven things up. But when they want to go hang out somewhere else, like a nice restaurant, you are not on their list of friends that they're going to call up because you're embarrassing, you're out of touch, and you're not cool, so to speak. It's not okay to do everywhere. Number 5, you're too negative and emotional. I feel sorry for you in your situation. I definitely share your situation at times too, but you have to understand that Japanese people don't fully understand things like mental health, sadly, which is why there's issues with suicide here, but we're not going to talk about that. That and cheating and bullying and the list goes on and molestation and etc. But again, we're not talking about that right now. My point is, if you were always super negative, super depressing to be around and hang out with, who the hell wants to be your friend? Nobody wants to play counselor with you, 24/7. Every time I hang out, oh, the sky is falling. I don't have a boyfriend. Oh, my job sucks. I got fired again. Or you just complaining about everything. I don't like Japanese food. Japanese men. This, that, and the other. Blah, blah, blah. It can be funny for them at times. They can care and be like, and try to listen. And then eventually it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this foreigner is crazy. They're super negative. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Okay, well, there you have it. If you're super depressing, super negative, always complain about everything, everything's bad, everything's whatever, you're not going to make a lot of friends here because nobody likes a negative Nancy. Number 7, you're self-centered. You talk too much and you simply never listen. While, of course, being someone that can keep the conversation going can be great, and I'll get to that on another point, it's also bad to be the opposite. If you're someone that's always talking, you always have to have the last word. You never listen. You talk over people. Again, some people will like this about you, especially if you're hanging out with somebody that's super shy, but other people will view it as you being ignorant and rude. Again, cultural difference. In the US, we really admire people that can, keep the conversation going, that are super loud, super, outgoing, etc. But in Japan, it's not admirable. And that brings me to another point that's off subject. I've had people, as I said in another video before, get on my boyfriend about that. But the reality is, while some Japanese people can be obnoxious and outgoing and like to talk a lot, most people here, especially if they're old-fashioned and are older, they actually find it very annoying to go out with people that have to talk through the entirety of the meal. Normally when people eat their food, they eat and there's no talking involved. You might talk before your food is served, you might talk afterwards, but talking between bites, etc. is not a normal thing. In the US, it can be kind of awkward and weird to show that there's problems in the relationship or that the date has gone bad if you're not constantly smiling, laughing, and talking to each other. Now, this is not a date, these are friendships, but do keep in mind that the same kind of rules simply apply. If you're hanging out with friends, generally more talking is done, especially while you're eating food, etc. The rules kind of change a little bit, but still, if you're constantly talking, every conversation is about you, you're always telling stories, you're always giving your feedback, you just come off as being ignorant. In the US, we admire somebody that's outspoken, someone that's outgoing, someone that's opinionated. In Japan, you're seen as annoying, self-centered, ignorant, stupid, selfish. Do you want that attached to your name? No. Do people want to be friends with somebody like that? No. Number 8, you come off as kind of weird. Maybe it's because you like Lolita fashion, you're an otaku, you like video games and manga, and or it's very obvious that you have a fetish for Japanese people. It totally depends on the person. Some people will admire the fact that you like Japanese culture and they're Japanese people, but to another person, your hobbies are kind of embarrassing and you come off as being lame and a loser. And with that said, some people might actually put off by being your friend. Nobody wants to be hanging around the girl that wears Hello Kitty attire everywhere, or the guy that's constantly dressed like Naruto and doing the Naruto run, through the train station. And with that said, is it everybody? No. Most people actually find it, admirable. Oh, you like Lolita fashion. Oh my God, you're so cute. Oh, you're a cosplayer, whatever. In fact, a lot of people, when I tell them that I cosplay or they see my pictures of it, they expect me to go on dates with them like that. And it's like, dude, this is for a holiday called Halloween. I'm a teacher. I don't run around dressed in cosplay every day. So whatever. Some girls here actually do, which I find really weird, but that's you. You do your own thing. With that said, you can find tons of friends that admire and like these things about you, but a lot of people, especially if they are a working adult, they don't want to be seen with you because one, it's embarrassing, and two, it looks like they paid a prostitute. There's actually whole dating services here where you could pay girls to go out with you dressed in costumes and or to have sex with you, and there's people that do like OnlyFans style meetups with these obsessed otaku like fans, etc. And anybody hanging out with you, they kind of look like they're here for a meetup with you, so that can be embarrassing. Again, there's exceptions to every rule. I will say most people don't care if you like anime, as long as you're not like extreme with it, or Lolita fashion, or any type of Japanese fashion in general, or that you like Japanese people. They actually already assume that you do if you're living here. So yeah, just coming off as weird in general can make some people not want to be your friend anymore. And excuse my eyes, I had to cough, so they look really watery right now. Okay, sorry, I had to eat, but now I'm back. So anyway, number 9, I believe we're on. You're looking for friends in all of the wrong places. So don't get me wrong, it's okay to look for friends in other places that normally you don't think of, like Tinder. For example, I've defended this before, but a lot of people don't realize Tinder is actually not made for hooking up, which is why they will ban people if you send inappropriate and or sexual messages. Ding, ding, ding. However, of course, like I said, guys like to ruin everything. And of course, there's girls that are into that too. And thus, people do most commonly use it for having sex, finding a boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. But with that said and done, its initial purpose was made for legitimate dating and for making friends. To this day, their advertisement still says that. And at one point, Tinder was actually running ads in Japan to encourage people to use it to not only make friends, but for language exchange too. Go figure. So, not getting into my 2 cents on that dating app, but rather I'm saying, to contradict what I just said, if you're someone that only goes to like dating apps, or you only go places, not just dating apps, but just places in general where people are normally going to find dates, like clubs and bars, etc., then of course you're not going to have a lot of success with finding genuine, legit friends that are truly trying to be your friend and not just trying to fuck you. So, with that, put out there, you're looking in the wrong place. You have to actually go places where people go to make genuine friendships, where it's not for dating, not for sex, and you don't have to reiterate that to people because it's already mutually understood. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, anytime you're dealing with the opposite sex, especially if you happen to be attractive, it's naturally going to lead to the person catching feelings for you, so you can't get upset over that part of it. You look good. But at the same time, you can't knowingly walk into a place in which people are expecting you to be single, expecting you to be looking for a boyfriend, and then get upset and say, I can't find a boyfriend. And no, I can't find a boyfriend. See, look, I can't find a friend. Everybody's just looking for, a girlfriend. Everyone's just looking for sex. And it's like, you're at a nightclub. Like, what the hell do you think? So again, go to the right place. You're at the wrong place, you're going to find, if you're at the right place, you're going to find the right people. You go to the wrong place, you'll find the wrong people. Simple as that. If you're looking for friends, go to places that friends hang out, not places that boyfriend and girlfriends or people looking for hookups hang out at. Number 10, when you do go out, you expect everyone to come up to you. I see this all the time, especially at college. I swear, like literally, anytime you go to a university campus, you'll always see a handful of people that are really miserable, really quiet, really whatever, and they just sit there in a corner to themselves, and if you talk to them, you'll see that they call themselves feeling hurt, and they're like, oh my god, I can't make Japanese friends, I can't do whatever, and it's like, you're just sitting there with your back against the wall. Like, some people will come up to you, especially if you're hot. They want to talk to you, but normally it's because they want to date you and not really be your friend. But for the most part, people won't. They will avoid you. You are the foreigner. You are the newbie. You are the person from the outside that has to squeeze your way in. If you just sit there, you don't talk to anybody, you don't attempt to make friends, you're not going to make friends. The squeaky wheel gets to oil. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you just sit back, you don't say anything, you don't do anything, sure, there's going to be some nice people that are really outgoing that are going to come up to you and be like, hey, like, join our club, come to our party, whatever. But you'll find that even in those circumstances, you'll just be an associate. You're literally just a seat filler. So if you don't want to just be a seat filler, you want to make genuine friends, you have to make an effort to actually talk to people, get to know people, get yourself out there. And you have to do that by opening your mouth, actually going up to people and talking to them and trying to join conversations and join groups and complimenting people. You don't have to go really crazy out of your way. I told you guys, when I was new here, I literally had a girl come up to me and she was working, at the cafe. She gave me a free coffee because she saw that I was sitting by myself. Ever since then, she spoke to me every time she saw me. There was another girl inside my class. She really liked my fashion. She would constantly compliment my outfits. And you want to know what happened? We kind of became friends after that. She started inviting me to parties. We started going out to eat together. We started, going, to Spolters together. We did all kind of stuff together all because someone else approached me. But for the most part, the friends that I really had, kept and stayed in contact with, and the majority of the people that I befriended were people that I went out of my way to approach, that I went out of my way to talk to and befriend. If you're not doing that, you're going to meet a couple of people maybe, but you're not going to make a lot of friends. And a lot of these people aren't going to really be your friend. They'll just be like associates. So get out there, move around, talk to people, get to know people, meet new people. Don't be afraid to talk. Number 11, you're not approachable and you look mean. Now, don't be fooled with my little YouTube videos, etc. When my mouth is closed and I'm actually not talking and not smiling either, I can actually look pretty, mean and threatening. And I think a lot of people feel that way about me too in general when I meet people out in public. Now, for the most part in Japan, there's not really like such thing as like resting bitch face as it's called. But rather, people are actually afraid. I'm not saying this to be cocky, I swear to God, but I'm just being real. People have actually said this to me. People actually feel kind of scared to talk to me because they think that I'm a model or that, I'm going to be full of myself, basically. It's assumed, oh, she must have a boyfriend. Oh, she might be a model. She's whatever. Like, I don't want to embarrass myself. There's a lot of shame associated with that. And with that said, a lot of people might feel threatened to even come up to you and talk to you. But especially if you don't come off as seeming approachable. You're someone that wears really dark clothes. You're sitting in a corner by yourself, you're smoking a cigarette, like you just seem irritated, like you don't want to put up with anybody's BS. And with that said, nobody's going to come up to you, or very few people, because again, you don't seem approachable, you don't look friendly, you don't seem inviting, you don't appear to want friends. You seem like you like being by yourself, which some people do. Some people like to be alone, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but if you look that way, that's how people are going to treat you. This goes into other fields too. Same thing goes for the way you dress. Not going to get into that. I mean, take a look through my Instagram. I love taking sexy pictures. It's fun. But the way I dress out in public in real life, as much as I would love to dress like a hoe, I'm in Japan and I realized I'd have to change the way that I do some things. I'm not in Chicago anymore. And even when I lived in the US, I mean, my family was super conservative. I feel like the main reason why I like what I do not trying to get into a whole story about me, but it's because my whole life has been like sheltered, which is why I even relaxed my hair in the first place, and why, I did a lot of the stuff that I did because I wasn't allowed to before. The only two things I never cared to do and don't like is tattoos and exotic piercings, but that's just a personal thing. I am considering getting my belly button pierced if I can get over my fear, but that's another story. So anyway, you really just have to consider how you look. You don't look friendly, don't look approachable, nobody's going to talk to you. They're afraid of getting cursed out by you. I think we've all been in that situation before where we've met someone or seen someone where we didn't even necessarily want to talk to them, but like where you looked at them and you're like, well, I don't want to piss that person off. They're probably going to go off on me. I have that experience all the time where I've been around like bitchy Japanese girls or, Japanese men that just seem really irritable, where it's like, let me make sure I don't bump into that guy so he don't go off on me and make a scene. You deal with that. And from their perspective, they see it that way too. You look very scary. You look threatening. You look like somebody that doesn't want to be messed with. Most people are going to avoid you. Number 12, you never go to parties. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of parties, but being here in Japan as both a foreigner and somebody that, doesn't speak Japanese at a native level, with that said, parties are definitely going to be your best friend. Again, cultural difference. No matter how well you speak Japanese, you were not born and raised here. Thus, you already missed out on a huge chunk of chances that you had to make legitimate friends. Because like I said, most people make their real friends through their childhood school. Not even work, through school. The second chance to make friends is in college. It's rare that people are like legitimately friends with their coworkers. Normally your coworkers are forced friendships where they're not really like friends, where you can talk to them, vent to them, do whatever. They're not really friends like that. They might call them their friend, but they're not really friends. Whereas people you went to college with, people you went to high school with, junior high school, those are your real friends that you can be more honest and open with, and that you'll see people treat like family. With that said, if you're here as a college student, you have a little bit of luck because this is your last chance to make long-lasting friendships. And with that said, yeah, you have to actually go to parties. You don't have to be that sloppy drunk or the thought that's sitting in everybody's lap, but you do have to actually attend parties, talk to people, go to places where people are going to make and or look friends. People at a party are inviting. They want to talk to strangers. That's what parties are made for. As long as you're not being a creep and drooling over the person that you're talking to or clearly trying to be flirtatious, there's no reason why they wouldn't want to be your friend as long as your breath don't stink and your body don't. So that's that. Number 13, you move too often. If you're someone like myself who's moved around a lot, it is a lot harder to establish legitimate friendships. I know from personal experience. I've been in a situation where I felt lonely even living in Tokyo from moving from place to place to area. The sad, unfortunate reality is, in Japan, unlike in the US, where we oftentimes stay in contact with our friends even if they leave, it's kind of expected that we go other places. The US is huge. Japan is not so much that case, despite the fact that this entire country is roughly the size of California, which is only one of the 50 states in the US, not even including our territories. But with that said, yeah, a lot of people actually don't like the idea of long distance relationships of any kind. It's not exclusive to just dating and marriage, but it goes for friendships too. Will they still consider you as a friend? Yes, but will they treat you like one? No. Normally, the moment that you move, you guys will stop talking significantly. You'll start talking significantly less. You'll stop getting updated and invited to things. They won't really think of you, and they will normally replace you pretty quickly. But of course, if you come back into town, yeah, they'll hang out with you and talk to you. And people can relate to this in the US too. Some people have that same situation where they're just the best of friends while they're together in the US. You join the military, you go abroad for school, whatever, you come back and your friends are like, oh, like, hey, you try to have a get-together party and maybe 2 people show up type thing. So it can happen in the US too, but we're talking about Japan. And with that said, yeah, people don't like to be friends with people that constantly move. And on the flip side of that, if you're always moving, it's very unlikely that you've even tried for long enough to make legitimate friends, because you probably haven't been here for a long time, or basically you just got there. So it's like you have to actually try out these things to make friends. You can't be so quick to be like, oh, I can't make friends, everyone's fake, everyone's phony. And it's like, girl, you just moved to like 5 different places in 1 year. How do you expect to make friends? How do you expect to meet people? And like meet more than once or twice? You haven't even been here for a full year yet. Like, calm down, relax. Again, you have to actually stay put somewhere in order to make legitimate friendships. Number 14, you don't stick around. That means not before or after work, parties, school, events, anything you go to, you literally show up and you leave. If you're someone that comes on time or late, you're missing a lot of opportunities to meet people simply by helping them set up, getting to talk to people when there's less people there, both before and after events. It might seem cool to you, to be that person that, just comes in the middle of the party, or you just go to work and go straight home. But by doing that, unless you already have an established group of friends and you don't want any more, you are almost guaranteeing that you're not going to meet somebody else. Because by the time, you go out the door, everyone else is getting together and talking. By the time you arrive, people have already established groups and cliques at this party. So you don't always have to come super, super early necessarily, but it does help to get there before you're expected to be there. Naturally, you're going to end up talking to at least 1 or 2 people. And again, you might not make a friend at every event that you go to, or every, outside of school event that you do have, but you're expanding the opportunity to do so. And of course, just the experience, being able to take pictures, go to a new place that you otherwise would not have gone to. Number 15, you're too busy. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, Japanese people totally understand what it means and what it's like to be busy, but if you're someone that's always turning down invites, it eventually gets to the point where people realize, oh, okay, this person just doesn't want to hang out with me. They're normally not going to ask you more than 2 or 3 times to go to something, and if you've turned it down that many times at that point, even if you've given a valid reason why you cannot go and cannot attend the event and or party, they more than likely will not invite you. This is a really tricky system to get used to, but there's this thing basically where Japanese people like to lie. White lies, if you will. It's very rude to be blunt and honest with people, so instead people just lie and make up an excuse. Americans can do this too. I'm someone that's guilty of this, but I have a limitation on how I do it. In Japan, there's no limit to this. People do not like to be honest with even the smallest of things. So instead of saying, parties aren't my thing, or, I'm not whatever, instead they'll just say, oh, I have a doctor's appointment, oh, my boyfriend, whatever. And it can seem like legitimate reasons, like, that makes sense, you have a dentist appointment. But to a Japanese person, they know. They're like, oh, okay, she just doesn't want to hang out with us. So if you do want to hang out and you're only canceling the plan because you don't have money or because you really do have an appointment, you need to, reiterate that and stress that you really want to go, but you really can't just this week, and let them know, hey, invite me next time. I will go. I want to go, and bring it up again later. But yeah, if you seem too busy, nobody wants to hang out with somebody that's going to leave the party early, or that's going to leave the dinner early. Like you're just ruining the whole flow of things. People prefer those with free schedules. Number 16, arguably worse than number 15, you always cancel plans. So this arguably makes Japanese people a lot more pissed off. Nobody likes people that, makes plans and then cancels them, especially if you're canceling these plans near the date. And when I say near, it depends on when these plans have been established. For example, pretty much if you cancel within about 72 hours of the expected event, it's considered as last minute, especially if you cancel the night before or the day of. Of course, it's better to let them know than to leave somebody hanging or standing them up, but in general, if you cancel plans, you can expect people to not invite you to stuff again. So again, like, you have to actually go to stuff. I know that people have, anxiety, depression, whatever. I totally get that, but the problem is Japanese people just don't. And again, if you do express that, unfortunately, you probably bring yourself back to an earlier point. I forgot which one it was. Let me cheat and look at my sheet. Where was that? Number 5. I thought it was number 5. And yeah, basically you come off as being negative. Nobody wants to hang out with someone that is, negative Nancy, basically. So even although you have a legitimate reason for canceling, if you seem too busy with work, you have a relationship, whatever, most people will generally, I won't say most people, a lot of people will understand. But again, it's a gray area. People don't know. Are you lying? Are you really busy? Or do you just not want to hang out with them? I told you guys a story a while back where I actually broke my back. And I had to explain to both my employer and my private students, and nobody believed me. They took my excuse and let me, stay at home. But both my students and my job, they even told me, like, I didn't think you were being honest. And I was like, no, I really mean it. Like, I know I don't look like my back is broken, but it is. There's just nothing that you can do for it. There's no cast for, a broken tailbone. All they can do is, like, they can give you, like, I forgot what they call it. Like a little thing to like help with your posture, etc. But that's basically it. This video ain't about my back, so I'm not gonna get on that. But yeah, basically you're flaky. Nobody wants to hang out with a flaky person. Number 17, similar to always, leaving the party or the event, whatever, right when it ends and coming right on time. You are someone that's always late. As I kind of said earlier, if you come late to a party, groups have already been established. So if you're late, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to easily weasel your way in and really get to talk to and meet people. You can do it. Some people can, especially if you're really attractive, really outgoing. But in that case, people are really talking to you to try to date you or have a one-night stand with you, not really be your friend. And with that said, you definitely want to come early if your goal is really to just make friends. You don't want to be someone that's always late to events, because the other problem is a lot of conversation that took place, a lot of plans for after the party, may have already been established while you were busy trying to show up fashionably late. And unfortunately, because party houses are so small here too, and there's normally a lot of loud music going on, even if you're like the hottest person in the world, a lot of people won't even notice your little grand entrance. So it really doesn't pay off, in my opinion, in the long run. You're better off showing up to the party on time, if not early. Don't always be late. And once again, if you're someone that's always late, Japanese people don't want to hang out with you. You might think that being on time and punctual is just a work thing, but Japanese people take timeliness very serious, punctuality, even when it comes to things like, friendships, hanging out, or, going on a date with your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's like being late for work. Normally people can understand, but it's very disrespectful to be late. Parties are more understanding, like I said, but again, if you're trying to make friends, people notice that, and they realize, oh, this person's always late. Like, I want to hang out with this person and wait on them. They're going to be slowing down all of us. So keep that in mind. Number 18, you're in a relationship, whether you are married or a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, whatever. Unfortunately, a lot of people feel really weird about being friends with people that have a partner, especially if you're trying to be friends with a mixed group of friends, where there's people that are married, aren't married, students, whatever the case might be. Japanese people get jealous very easily, so normally people are not okay with their partner being friends with people of the opposite sex. So if you are trying to make friends, you would normally find yourself boxed in or limited to only hanging out with people of the same sex as you. Some people don't care and they understand, but I promise you, 9 out of 10 of those people that claim that they don't care and understand, they normally are trying to act like you're their boyfriend or girlfriend, and or they're hoping that they can persuade you to cheat or break up on your partner. It's very unfortunate for those of us that do have relationships, because basically you either have to lie and pretend like you're single, or you're kind of stuck with whoever you were friends with before you got into your relationship. So it's very difficult to continue friendships, even because once people find out that you have a partner, they're like, oh, I just stopped talking to you so much. Number 19, you have kids. Having kids while trying to make friends can feel very similar to trying to date when you have children from a prior relationship. It totally depends on who you're friends with, how old you are, what your situation is, but you'll oftentimes find that even Japanese people amongst themselves, they normally only hang out with people that are in the same situation as them. So if you're not married, your friends also won't be married. If you are married, all of your friends are also, mothers or whatever too that have children. So if you have kids, people don't want to hang out with you and your little 5-year-old or 3-year-old, whatever. Some people don't care, and you can kind of get the exception to the rule as a foreigner, but for the most part, they don't want to hang out with you because there's a lot of things that you can't do. For example, you're not allowed to take children into karaoke bars. Oh my God, thank God. I don't want to hear no screaming, crying kids. But that's another story. Yeah, there's a lot of places that people love to go here. Like Japanese people love karaoke, love izakayas. You're not allowed to bring children to a lot of these places. So with that said, there's limited activities you guys can even do together in group settings or alone, and it kind of makes them feel like it's a weird balance with the relationship. I'm not agreeing with it or supporting it. For me personally, I don't care, but I am saying that I kind of understand people are coming from. It makes them feel a little uncomfortable. So yeah, basically if you have children, you have a partner, people kind of don't shy away from being your friend. They don't want to really be close to you like that, and they kind of think that you don't want to. They feel like they can't relate to you. And last but not least, number 20, you're simply boring and socially awkward. I hate to say that because it's really mean, and I can be that way too, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the facts and not myself, and not really so much you, but just in general. If this is your problem, maybe I am talking about you. If you come off with somebody that's really, really boring, you're really dull, you can't hold a conversation, you have nothing to talk about, you're socially awkward, you're weird, you're just kind of there, yeah, people aren't going to normally invite you and want to hang out with you. So you definitely want to kind of get out of your shell a little bit. You don't have to be super fake and obnoxious like how I said before. That'll do the opposite. But you do kind of have to step outside of your comfort zone and your shell at times and open up your mouth. Talk to people. Say hi. Wave to them. Start, small talk. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, etc. But you have to start somewhere and or do something. I mean, it has to be super weird, super awkward. I mean, you're at a party, going out to dinner, especially if it's you one-on-one with somebody, or you're playing at an arcade and you're just kind of like awkwardly there. You don't talk much. You don't say anything. People will admire your quietness in one sense, think, oh, it's cute, you're Japanese, like whatever. But then at the same time, it's like playing, I can't even explain. It's like people speak out of both sides of their mouth. At the same time, you're also not somebody that people think of when they want to have a fun party or do something really interesting, because you bring nothing to the table. I mean, it sounds harsh and cold or whatever, but like I said, I totally relate to you. Like, I'm that person. So you really want to let your personality shine through. And find things to talk about. Keep the conversation going. Show that you're interested. You don't have to do it in like I said, in a weird fake way, but find some sort of balance. And I think most shy people, socially awkward people, always have that one friend that like gravitates towards them and saves them, that's more outgoing than they are. Find that friend, find that person, go to parties with them. They will help introduce you to a lot of different people. Okay, I'm super sorry. I realized that I forgot number 20. I got ahead of myself in my video, I guess when I took a break. And as you saw throughout the video, I kept skipping over one, so I had to renumber it as I was editing it. And yeah, I realized that number 20 that I missed was, you can't speak Japanese and possibly not even English. So obviously, being in Japan, most people can only speak Japanese. If you have no Japanese language ability, you're going to be extremely limited to what kind of friends you can make. Now, don't get me wrong, unlike in the US, a lot of people here have no problem with being friends with you, even if you have no common language. I've even dated people, lots of people, who have no English ability whatsoever. Mind you, you're talking to someone who still does not consider themselves to be fluent in Japanese, and I'm definitely not native fluent. I can most certainly read a lot better than I can speak. And with that said, yeah, people don't care. They want to be your friend anyway. They think it's cool to hang out with foreigners. They want to learn English from you. However, if you don't speak English or Japanese, you're kind of in trouble. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people do have interest in learning a third or fourth language, but most people do not want to learn something like Italian or German when they haven't even learned English first. For obvious reasons, there aren't as many job opportunities. But don't get it wrong, other European or whatever type of languages most certainly are not necessarily popular here, but sought after. People do want to be that unicorn that can say, I can speak German, or I can speak Spanish, or whatever else. The reality is, most foreigners living here, even if they're not from an English-speaking country, they can speak English at a near-native level. However, once again, there are people that cannot, and also cannot speak Japanese. So even if you are a native English speaker, you will expand your opportunities to make friends if you do take up learning Japanese. If you're an American or someone from the UK and you only speak English, you don't bother to learn Japanese, you're limited to only speaking to either people that want to learn English which is a lot of people, and or people that are going to be using you for your English ability, which that's not really a friend now, is it? So yeah, if you want to make genuine friends, consider actually learning Japanese. As long as you really have a desire to make friends here, you most certainly will. You simply have to go out of your way, though, to actually do that. A lot of people simply sit inside their comfort zone. They only hang out with foreigners. They only, go to events of people that they already know. They hang out with people that are the same as them. Black people. With that said, I'm speaking from my own race, guys. You have to actually get out there and talk to people. If all of your conversations are just on how, I wish Japan had this, or, oh, black men are like this, whatever. What Japanese person wants to join this group in conversation? Nobody. You don't have to be phony and deny, the issues that you have here, the things that you don't like. But you have to learn how to have separate conversations and limit your time with foreigners. Foreigners can be great for meeting people, like going to international parties, etc. But you don't want to rely on your foreign friends, because the reality is they're not going to help you entirely with making Japanese friends, because if you're busy always hanging out with them, most Japanese people are not going to be willing to intrude your little foreigner friend group. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. Remember, you came here to Japan willingly as a minority. Japanese people haven't been in that situation. For some people, they feel comfortable. They have abroad experiences. They've always wanted to go abroad. This is a great opportunity to learn English or get a foreign girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. But for most people, it can seem a bit intimidating. It's you and 7 other foreign girls or 7 other foreign guys, etc. Different people have different feelings, different personalities. Some are more outgoing than others and will gladly talk to you. The most important thing is, of course, don't worry about it too much. If you stress out over like, oh my god, I need Japanese friends. I don't have any Japanese friends. I need 5 friends for this. I need 3 friends for that. I need friends for my wedding, blah, blah, blah. If you go crazy like that and you start talking to yourself like that, you will almost ensure and guarantee that you will not make genuine friends. As I've said before, like, even for myself, it's better to have one real, genuine, good friend than to have 10 fake ones. A lot of people glamorize the idea of having tons of friends and lots of friends, and it's like, you can't possibly really get to know 20 different people. You can't, especially not as an adult. You can't. Anyone that has that many friends, they're associates. Out of that group, you probably have somewhere between 3 to 10 real friends that you can really talk to, that you really know. The rest of them, they're just associates. They're people that you hang out with and talk to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have both. You need to have levels. There's associates, there's friends, there's best friends, and then you got best friends that are more like family. So there's definitely levels. I've had times where I only had one legitimate real friend. As an adult, still, my best friends are in the US. I have lots of good friends here in Japan, people that are, born and raised in Japan that are Japanese. And I have good foreign friends here too. But they're never quite exactly on that level of my US friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a competition. There's no reward for having 20, 30, 40, 20 Japanese friends. There's no, shame prize or prize of shame, whatever you want to call it, for having mostly foreign friends. But for your own sake, for language purposes, and for helping you in difficult situations, and of course for getting to understand, the language and culture better, it's good to have Japanese friends. You came here to Japan because you like Japanese people, Japanese culture. Why would you just want to surround yourself with foreigners? So there's nothing wrong with that. But again, don't beat yourself up over it. Let it happen and come naturally. Don't be impatient. You're probably not going to make a ton of friends. And after one party, after 1 week, 1 month, even 1 year, it takes time. Be patient. You will meet people over time. Just try your best to show people that you are approachable. Go to events, even if you don't necessarily want to. Try new stuff. Talk to people, compliment them, go out of your way to do these things, and you will make new friends and meet new people. You've done it before, you can do it again. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please leave me a like and a comment down below. If you want to add something else to this list that you would suggest people doing to make friends or your own experience, please leave a comment as well. And other than that, I would appreciate it if you would follow me on Instagram and my Twitter account. You can also add me on Snapchat and like my Facebook fan page as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.